Today's guest, Craig Turner, is a Chicago native who holds a civil engineering degree and a master's degree in management. He's licensed as a professional engineer in Illinois and a professional land surveyor. His career spanned from public agencies to private sector. Craig prides himself on his extensive experience in transportation infrastructure. He worked at the Illinois Department of Transportation, Cook County, spent nearly 2 decades with consultant engineering firms, rising to a director level role, and joined CDOT in 2020, where he now serves in a leadership position. Today, I would like to welcome Craig Turner to the show. Welcome to the show, Craig. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well today. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me on the show.
No problem. No problem.
You have a very, very interesting story. You're well accomplished. You're a PE, you're a PLS. I mean, you got everything that a lot of these young folks are looking to accomplish. Thank you for sitting down with us and really talking about your journey today. First question I want to just talk about and just ask you, where you from?
Actually, I'm from the south side of Chicago, over in the South Chicago, Calumet Heights area.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
I went to George Washington High School on the southeast side of Chicago.
Okay.
I believe it's the smallest high school in the CPS system.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my graduating class was probably like 234.
Oh, wow.
Seniors, yes.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, well, now that your class bigger than mine. I think mine was about 90. I went to Lindblom at the time. And we were having like a lot of enrollment issues. So they were looking at actually shutting it down. They did shut it down after, I left, and then they shut it down for a few years, and then they reopened it to a math and science academy.
Gotcha, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of issues with the enrollment. So what turned you on to civil engineering?
Yeah, what turned me on as civil engineer was in my junior year of high school. I went down to Southern Illinois University at Carbondale for engineering. Yes,
nice. Okay.
Yeah, I went down there for engineering program, minority engineering program. Okay. And, just they took us through all the steps, all the different disciplines of engineering, electrical, civil, mechanical, industrial engineering. And that kind of piqued my interest. And then my high school counselor, which I got to give a shout out to, Miss Dorothy Hillard, was like, you make a really good engineer.
Yeah.
Well, really what she was saying is, you're not that great in, reading and writing. You're good in math and science. So that's the perfect field for you. So that's what kind of got me interested in engineering.
Okay. So she told you this in high school?
Yes.
And then it just kind of piqued your interest to go somewhere and see if you can explore it and learn a little more about it?
Well, she helped me find the engineering program. The summer program was like a week down there.
Right, MVP. Yeah. I have some friends that went through that program. So I think it's still around, but it's like a week or two where you stay on campus and you learn about the different fields.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. It was, being in a college campus, staying in the dorms and, going to the cafeteria, actually being like a real college student.
Yeah. So out of all of the different engineering fields, why civil?
Well, civil is something that I selected I'm a visual person. Yeah. So when we, broke the concrete cylinder, that did it for me. I mean, you can sit there and they can tell you about compression and, how concrete is strong in compression. And until you see that fracture of the cylinder, I was like, I can visualize that. When we were in the electrical classes and they talked about current and voltage, you can't see it, but you probably could feel it. Right. But you can't see it. Yeah. So it's something I can actually see. You can see a bridge. You can see concrete. You can see steel. And you can see roadways. And it's and by civil engineering being the oldest branch of engineering, that really rang true to me. About that. Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I like to see what I'm building. I always used to take things apart and put things back together.
I still do that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So to see it and to be able to actually design something and go build it, that resonated with me strongly. So you decided to do civil engineering, but you also decided to get a PLS. So let me ask you, was Roy Frank your professor?
Actually, Roy Frank was not my professor because that program started after I graduated.
Really? Okay.
But he was instrumental in and getting me into surveying and also furthering my career. But the person that really got me into land surveying is Leon Pass. He is
LR Pass and
LR Pass and Associates.
I used to work for him.
Yeah, he's a black surveyor. He was at the time it was only 2 surveyors. I believe the other one was Hilton Donaldson out of Indiana, and he was also licensed in Illinois. But Leon is the one that got me, that piqued my interest in land surveying when I was working at the Cook County Highway Department.
Oh, really?
Right. So, yeah. So that's when he spawned that thing, and I just kept looking for it, and then eventually started taking classes at Purdue Cal.
Okay.
To get my survey, get to 24 hours so I could take the exam.
Okay.
Right.
So you graduated with your degree in civil engineering from SIU.
Yes.
You started working, like walk me through the timeline of how you and then you went back to get the surveying. So
that's correct.
Okay.
Well, I went to college down at Southern Illinois University from 90 to 95. Okay. And then from there I went at the graduation. Well, during that time I also worked at it was a co-op program with IDOT. Yeah. It was a unique program because it wasn't like work a semester, go to school for a semester. I was required to work 20 hours a week at IDOT at District 9, and also carry at least 16 hours. So we had it was a lot.
Yeah,
it was, you
full load.
As soon as you get up in the morning, you know exactly what you're doing for the rest of the day. You're working, going to school, or studying, or going to sleep so you can get up the next day to do it all over
again. Yeah.
So at the graduation, I worked at the Cook County Highway Department shortly after graduation. During that time, I completed my PE, and then that's when I met Leon, and then that's when I started taking my courses to get my so I can get my PLS.
Okay.
So I got my land surveyors and training license, which is equivalent to the EIT. Yeah. And at the time, Mr. Pass retired, and it wasn't a land surveyor on staff, so that's when I ventured out into the privates. That's when I started, working in the private industry, getting that experience. Okay. So I worked at several companies there. I eventually got the experience and was able to get my license, my PLS license in December of 2005.
Okay.
Right. And at that point, that's when I became, I believe still am, the only African American with a PLS and a PE license.
Really?
In the state of Illinois, yes.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So
look at you. I'm sitting here with a legend.
Right. Exactly.
Man, that's amazing. So, Now, it was something that I always looked at. I took surveying classes down at SIU in Carbondale. I worked for Leon Pass. He opened up a land surveying firm. So I was doing the just layouts for new homes, staking, property lines, boundary lines, boundary surveys, do some topo, shoot some elevations. So it was a really good experience. But all of the regulations behind it, I think I don't know if the hours was sufficient. So of course I would have had to go back. Right. And then try and find, because right now PLS is scarce. That's to me, I think it's a rare license. But then you have to find someone to work under, get that in training, and then eventually sit for your professional land surveying license. Right. So, no, I mean, kudos to you. I know that was a lot of additional work and additional steps, but you took those steps to better your career. So. How did it work out for you as far as having those 2 licenses? Well,
it worked out great. I mean, because it gives you a different perspective when it's time to do design work. Because what I found as a surveyor, engineers don't know what they want until you give them something, and then they tell you what they actually need. So, but looking at the scope of work, from a design standpoint, like if we're doing a roadway survey and it's a creek crossing. We need to know, to go, a couple hundred feet upstream and downstream to get those shots without asking the client. It would work that cost into the proposal, So it's more having that insight and giving more, be able to give more guidance to our client, when I was doing the land surveying work. to give them a complete project. Because I can look at it from the surveyor's standpoint, and also can look at it from the engineer's standpoint.
Okay. Yeah. So you work for a lot of various firms, and you've done a lot of different things. And then, you also went and got even some more credentials behind your name, yes, right? Went and got a master's in business. Is it correct with that?
I got a master's in Master of Science in Management from the University of Illinois at Champaign in 2024.
All right. And what pushed you to go and pursue that?
Well, back during COVID, when I made the decision to come to the city, it's more like I was managing a lot of people, and I was at the Division of Electrical Operations. So it's more, it's a lot of linemen. I just still don't know how to change a fixture or anything, but it's more management. And I felt I need to add more tools to my toolbox, because as engineers, everything is cut and dry. Everything is numbers driven, but you need to get some leadership skills, learn how to build the momentum when you need to make a change. Yeah. So you need, bring in your leadership over at Division of Electrical Operations and say, this is what I envision, and this is how we're going to proceed, and this is how it's going to benefit you. So therefore, I got their buy-in, and then they can actually help me implement a plan instead of just coming in there, this is what we're going to do, and with no explanation. So it gave me more people skills, and also just looking at the finance classes I took, I could figure stuff out. I'm pretty good at figuring stuff out, and as engineers, that's what we do.
Right, we deal with numbers.
Yeah, we're good with numbers because numbers always tell a story. Yeah. But having those classes, I could read finances a lot quicker and understand, okay, this goes there, budgets and all that stuff, make it a lot quicker instead of taking me a couple of hours. Yeah. It's probably about 30 to 45 minutes to read through it and get a full understanding.
Yeah, so. No, what you're saying is spot on, especially when it comes to leadership. And there's different ways you can lead. You can lead with the numbers. The numbers tell a story, and it also really give you an understanding of what you're able to do and what you can do now and what you may have to wait and do later. But then also, you made a great point as far as getting buy-in and building that momentum, getting your entire team to be a part of the process. That's a exceptional point, and I think that's an important skill for a leader to have in order to make sure you get the best outcome. Why do you think that's so important, even in that project that you worked on? I think it was the Chicago Smart Lighting Program. Right. Can you tell us the effect that it had or the outcome on the project?
Oh, the Chicago Smart Lighting Project?
Yeah.
Okay, the Chicago Smart Lighting Program, that started back in 2017. That's when I was with the consultants. And we led that program for the installation. It was a huge project. It was a $160 million project that converted all the street lights and street lights and from that high pressure sodium to LEDs. Okay. And it also provided a huge savings to the city because over at the 10 years, which is next year, the program would have saved the city the cost of the program and the amount of energy off the energy bill that they had to pay, because the city had light fixtures on Lakeshore Drive that were 1,000 watts, and then the majority across the city was between 250 watts to 400 watts. Now the light fixtures that we're installing are 68 watts, and the max is 174. So it was a huge savings, and then also just the rebates that that we were able to cash in on for the city, to bring converting from 1,000 watt fixture down to 174 watt fixture. Yeah. So the amount of money that was saved is tremendous, and so it would pay for itself. But for myself, it's a legacy project. Yeah, because usually when I go on vacation or try to fly in, I try to come in at nighttime so I can see the change that I had on the city. Because before it used to be like a big orange glow. Yeah. Now it's you just see the little dots and lights because there's not a lot of light trespassing.
Okay, nice. And then getting that buy-in from your team to get it done? How'd you go about doing that?
Well, we just, during that time, it was working with the different stakeholders, the aldermen, and, let them know when it's coming to the ward. And then as far as the team, we had to lay out a plan. We had to execute, like, where we're going to go, the different steps that we had to do to make sure that we do it. Make sure everything is documented properly, one for rebates and also reporting to ComEd, and making sure all our paperwork is on point. Yeah. Because it was all digital. And also just developing different workflows to be more efficient out in the field with the contractor.
In the leadership role, give us an example of a decision that you had to make that you felt was risky but paid off in the end.
One, just on the personal side is back when COVID started, when everything was shutting down, and just on the personal side, making the decision to make the jump from the privates back into government. That was a big decision because it was, you look and see a lot of people coming back to the office, and then you have to try to find them work or eventually lay them off. So I, took the jump at an opportunity. It was a, well-placed call. So it was just like, do you want to run the division of electrical operations? I was like, well, it lined up with what I was doing before with the smart lights. It was just a continuation. So making that transition from private to public, and then continue the work that I was doing with the smart lights by building out workflows, get more engaged with operations and everything. So
but what was the risk there? Like, government is like secure, like especially during like a time like COVID where. Well,
it was risky for the fact of just on the personal side, just moving from, the security or, freedom of moving around in the privates to moving into government.
What felt like a norm or comfort.
Because I was in the privates for a long time, and then just make a whole career shift to go public is pretty risky, in my opinion. So my previous boss was like, you probably can be a commissioner one day. And that kind of planted the seed too, to do everything that I did to lead up to everything.
He spoke life into you.
Right. He gave me a like something like, hey, you probably can do that. He's just like, man, I just took that and kind of grew it. And then that's one of the reasons why moving to the city was a good step for me too. It was risky, but it was still good.
Okay.
Because with COVID and everything, you never know what they may scale down or change operations and stuff like that.
Typically, engineers, I talk about this all the time. We take a personality test. Engineers are typically introverts. We typically, we like security and we're also non-conversational when it comes to certain things. But you obviously started at a certain place, but grew into this leader of an entire Department of Transportation. What broke you out of maybe this shell, or did you have a shell even at first as an engineer?
Well, I still have a shell. I mean, speaking publicly is something that I have gotten better at because I had to do it just by the role. And then also just being I consider myself a leader. So you have to be able to just speak to people and get your point across. One thing my mother always told me, she's like, you have a way of explaining some complicated things. And even I understand it. That's what she used to say. So, break it down. And I think I'm more, I relate to people very well. So it's more just, as like you said, engineers are, very regimented, but I like to, kind of get to know people on a personal level, understand what makes them tick. Understand, like the team that I'm working for, like, people say you're supposed to come to work and just, switch off your home life or what's going on personally. That never happens. It shows, and just looking at somebody like, hey, you seem a little different, take them to the side, be like, hey, what's going on? They may tell you that something may happen with, with a family member. And then if you show them like empathy or, like, okay, I get that, I understand now. And then, so that's, showing that you care goes a long way. Because say, for instance, now it's project deadline time and you need somebody to step up. they may reach back and remember, like, hey, he kind of was empathetic to me and wanted me to make sure I was okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure he's okay and get this project done. Yeah. That's how you build that trust and those relationships that a lot of engineers need to either develop or continue to work on. I think it's getting better with the as time goes on, especially with social media and everything, is getting more comfortable with talking to people. But for like the young engineers, that's one thing I was speaking with the UIC students a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I was like, when you go to these job events or professional organization, industry events, just don't run up to people and say, I'm so-and-so, I'm UIC graduate, senior, I'm looking to do this, because then they just look at like you're looking to use them, or how can you take advantage of using this instead of trying to learn more about them. So I gave them some tips about how to, understand, learn about them on a personal level.
Right, and how to approach a company or, someone that you're interested in working with. What are some of those tips that you gave them?
More just, you can know when you go introduce yourself, like, hey, I'm at UIC. What school did you graduate from? Yeah. And then find out what courses they may have interest, or find out where they're from. And then just, ask questions to get information so that you can build that relationship and try to find some synergies between your backgrounds. Because everyone is, in this day and age, it seems like everyone is more, we have more in common than we do different, but everybody want to focus on the difference. Yeah. So it's like yourself, you want to do what's, provide for your family, take care of your kids, or I want to do the same thing, but it may be something totally different that we'll be focusing on instead of just the common elements, the common denominator, if you shall say.
Yeah. I mean, in the climate that we live in, everything seems to be divisive, but you're absolutely correct. We have more in common than we do different, right? So, no, that's great advice that you're giving the young folks. I tell them all the time, it's the same way as when you're approaching someone, and even if it's just networking or business development, you don't really want to go directly in and talk about, hey, I want to do business and I want to, this is what I want to do, right? It's too much about self then. Yes. You want to be able to learn about the people that you are working with, and you have to build up a relationship and build up trust. So that's very important. And then also you hit on another great point, communication, clear communication, right? Some people communicate, but if you don't recognize that the person you're communicating to, the information that you're giving them is going over their head, then you're really not an effective communicator. Exactly. So what your mom said is, I think it's spot on. You have to be able to take something very complicated and break it down to where someone in first grade can understand exactly what you're trying to say. And with those skills, it's easy to get the buy-in that you need and get people to understand, and then become more of a leader in that space. So, no, that's hats off to you for that.
Yeah, another thing I do also is, like, I have a 15-year-old daughter, and sometimes I bring scenarios home to her and see what she thinks. And I tell her, what the scenario is in my side of it, and then I get her feedback. Yeah. And then a lot of times she gives me some good critiques, some good advice. I have no problem with listening to the younger generation, because that's how you bridge the gap. For sure. And I don't know everything, and I have, I know I've done a lot of things, but it may be the old way of doing things, and maybe trying to refresh it with new thoughts from the younger generation.
Oh, yeah. No, you have a secret weapon at home.
Yeah, 15-year-old.
So that's amazing. Right. And it's funny you hit on that, because I did write a book, How to Become a Civil Engineer, Bridging the Gap. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you saying a lot of key words here.
Well, actually, your book, I bought 2 copies, one for myself and one for my daughter.
Thank you so much.
One for my daughter's school, so it is at my daughter's elementary school in the library.
Amazing. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Right. Is your daughter, did she get a chance to look at it and read it a little bit?
I don't believe she has, because as most engineers, their kids do not want to be engineers.
Yeah. No, you're right. So that's why it's so important for us to get them excited and inspired about it, in whatever way we can.
Yes.
Everybody's gonna have their own interests, but you can lead them to water, and then it's up to them, if they want it or not. So, how has being a husband and a father influenced the work that you do in infrastructure?
Well, I mean, infrastructure. We touch infrastructure every day without even knowing it. Just walking on the sidewalk, that's infrastructure. The street lights is infrastructure, especially at nighttime. With the Chicago Smart and Light program, that was a huge program because it was before the lights used to go out a lot more. It's still one of the number one. It's still in the top for complaints, but it's not as high as it used to be because the LED fixtures, they're last 10 to 15 years instead of the bulbs that were inside the old fixtures, because with the old fixtures, if you don't have a glove on and get the oil on there, they may go out a lot quicker, so there wasn't as reliable. So when I'm out and about, or my wife and my daughters are coming home at nighttime, yes, I want the street lights to be on so they can see where they're going. It's more public safety. And even with the traffic signals, people take traffic signals for granted, but it saves a lot of lives out there, and it's a lot of interest. And it coordinates a lot of the traffic movements during congestion and everything. So infrastructure is real important, especially like if you turn on your water faucet and nothing comes out. And so it's really important. So
very important.
And so it's like my goal when I move to the public is to make sure that I'm doing the best I can to solve problems and make repairs in a timely fashion. So even like walking over here to do this here podcast, I saw a few things and took a few pictures on the report because it's just something we do as a public servant.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yep, civil engineering people, that's what make our world more civilized. So,
yes.
We're doing everything to just make everything easy and smooth. That's typically what I tell the young people whenever I talk to them. So, it's good. And you'll be amazed at how many folks don't really know that this career is out here, and there's huge opportunities all around us within this industry. So, no, thank you for what you do. I appreciate that. So what keeps you motivated after decades in the industry? What still excites you about the work, and then where do you see things for yourself?
Well, what keeps me excited, I'm like a 16-year-old boy with a lot of responsibilities. So I still get interested in construction. I still get interested in trains. Like we have a project, the Lake Street Bridge over the Chicago River. Where can you find a more exciting project where you have all modes of transportation? You got ships, you got boats, you have cars, you have mass transit, you have scooters and pedestrians within a 400-foot work zone.
Yeah.
And then what's even interesting about that project is it's going to come to a point where we're going to have to shut down CTA for, I believe it's 12 or 13 days, where we're going to cut off one of the leaves, put it on the barge, float it out, and then float in the new leaf, jack it in place, and make all the connections. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So, my plan for that event is to have as many kids in the plaza just to see some of those moving parts, to see what engineers do, or civil engineers, because it's going to be a pretty monumental, operation. The city did it before with the Wells Street Bridge, but now it's going to do it with the Lake Street Bridge. Okay. So it's and then just when I was a kid, I also looked at the maps, and I had the little atlas where you had to go look in the index and find this, and then go to the page and look in the little square. Just changing the map, just because one of the projects I worked on early in my career was the I-80-294 project out in Lansing, where it reconfigured the whole interchange down there. And you look at the map back then, and then you look at it now, it's totally different. So then you can just, you drive through there, you're like, oh, I remember doing a design for that one.
Yeah.
Man, it was like we had to do that two overnight shutdown to get that piece of pavement in because we couldn't get it in the daytime. And it still brings me joy to actually look at projects or projects I completed. Yeah. And then, even take my kids out just to see them.
Okay. So, well, I love to have our young people that's a part of Pinpoint Scholars Foundation to be a part of that effort. Sure. I would love for them to see, all of those moving pieces from the CTA to, the barges that, all these different cool things that they, probably never thought would even be possible. I think, you can't be what you can't see. Right. Exactly. And at the end of the day, if they can see all of these things, they can aspire to do better. For young engineers that, from different backgrounds, what advice do you have for them if especially, we have like a lot of international students, you have students in the city that really they're not exposed or haven't had any exposure to civil engineering.
One thing I would recommend is get you a mentor or find a mentor. And as much as I used to think they were cheesy, like vision boards are good, at least have a North Star that you're aiming for. Yeah. Because in my career, I think I was more guided by what was available and the opportunity at the time. Yeah. So like during college, I was into like hydrology, hydraulics. I thought that was so cool that hydraulic jumps and the water modeling and then pipe modeling. Yeah. I thought that's what I wanted to do until the opportunity with IDOT came around. And then that changed my whole career to transportation. So that was my focus. So it was more just like not having a real plan, but just going where opportunities are. So having like a mentor, someone that can help guide you, to your point, it wasn't a lot of minorities or African Americans in engineering at the time. I mean, when I graduated from college, out of our whole class, it was 5 of us. Yeah. And so wasn't no African American professors during the time. Right. So it's like, where do you get the guidance? Even down in when I was doing my co-op, it was one African American. He was an engineer technician, and I rode with him one summer. But it's still like, I got some insight, but you still want, as kids, we're always looking for more. Yeah. Something to pique our interest, to keep us on task. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, you paved the way for me. I'm a Saluki grad as well. Graduated. I remember going down there, and when I graduated, there was only one other African American that I graduated with, guy by the name of Joe. But it was just me and Joe. But no professors. But at the same time, we still, we really had to figure out how to do it. Like we were both, I can tell, we didn't have a lot of exposure to it. So we worked together a lot to make sure we got through the program.
Exactly.
So it was,
same thing, same experience.
Yeah, so. It was, I mean, it's good. It's a challenge, but, you have to also do your part to open the door and see if we can, bring a diverse pool of individuals into the space, because that creates a better project ultimately.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So what's next for you?
What's next for me is just to continue doing what I'm doing for the city. Because I love my city and I love the work that I do. So just continue moving forward. Reducing the amount of our response time, getting everything done. Yeah. And also just, of course, continue doing paving the road for younger engineers.
Some of the viewers might be thinking, why we got so many potholes?
Well, that's because it's a freeze-thaw cycle, and we live in the Midwest where the temperature ranges from, we experienced it the last couple of weeks where it can be down in the 30s and go all the way up to the 80s. And so I can go into the whole thing about how water creeps down in there and it goes through a freeze and water expands, and therefore it creates, when water expands, it turns into ice. Yeah. And then it thaws out, it goes back down, they get a void. So that's how we get potholes. It's unavoidable.
I don't think they want to hear that. I think they want to know when it's going to get fixed. Right? Typically. Folks, a lot of times they look at the potholes, they look at construction, they see it as an inconvenience. All this work needs to get done in order for them to have a better product and an easier commute. So you don't want to hit a pothole and then, blow a tire and break your axle, and you're doing all you can do to keep traffic flowing.
Well, we keep traffic flowing, but also it shows economic development because, you have different developers in the city, which generates more revenue for the city. So it's a good sign. And also if you have potholes, is opportunity for work too. Yeah. So it's always keeping this economic engine running.
Yeah. Do the city hire workers directly as far as the laborer side, or is everything contracted out, or is there both?
It's both. It's both. It depends on the load or what we're trying to accomplish. Like operations, you can still go to like the city website and check there for opportunities. Same with DPS for contracting opportunities.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, is there any last final thoughts that you may have and you want to share with our viewers?
Well, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come sit down and talk about my career. Yeah. It's been a career that has a wide cross-section of experience, and going from a line engineer all the way up to management to almost to the top position at CDOT. Where I was acting commissioner for a little over 9 months. So the career has given me opportunity to support my family and everything. So I'm very thankful for that.
No, and I want to thank you for joining me and being a pioneer in this space. The only black PLS and PE in the state of Illinois. Yep. You have so many credentials. You went back to get your master's. I'm sure you've taken tons of leadership training and courses and communication courses. You just pushing the envelope is really what puts you in position to be a leader in our industry. So we thank you so much for being a great representation. There's many people out there that want to know and understand how do they do it, how do they do both, get a PLS as well as their PE. I know for a long time I asked that same question, but then I was like, man, forget it. I ain't about to go back to school. I was like, I'm tired of school. I'm gonna focus on something different. But you did it. So where there's a will, there's a way. Thank you so much for being a pioneer and all that you do for the city.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.